Alright, we have to talk about the crimes of Grindelwald. Welcome to Hritsko Reviews. My name's Josiah Hritsko, and today we're talking about Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, which is the newest film in the Wizarding World Expanded Universe. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, so I was super stoked to see this movie. It was actually on my number 2 or 3 most anticipated movies of the year, even though I wasn't a huge fan of the first one. It was kind of a letdown to me, but this film, I loved every second of it. Some time has passed since the last movie, and Newt and his friends are split up kind of all around the world. And of course, Newt's the main character of this, but another main driving force is Gellert Grindelwald. You may remember from the last movie, he was revealed to be the big bad guy who is in disguise. That's Johnny Depp's character, and he is menacing. The movie kicks off real quick with Grindelwald escaping his captivity. Everybody saw that coming, so it's really no big spoiler there. And Grindelwald, in the time after that, he starts gaining some traction, some real traction. He's rallying wizards all around the world onto his side, to his cause, that wizards should be the dominant people in the world. His pure blood mentality may sound Hitler-esque, but it's really not. The way that Grindelwald portrays and goes about describing how he thinks the world should be, you can almost relate to it a little bit and understand that there are other wizards that would go along with his cause. I think that's really what puts him on a pedestal and really on par to be as great of a villain as Voldemort. Now, we know that Dumbledore and Grindelwald will end up having to fight in 1945. The current movie's set in 1927, so we're quite a while away from that. So why can't he fight him now? What's holding Dumbledore from fighting? And the movie explains that, and I think it's really important that it does explain that, and it actually gives some of the future movies a little bit more plot and some fun story to play with. So enough about Grindelwald for now. The other characters that are here are Newt, and he's as awkward as ever, but I really like his character. I like him a lot more from the last movie. We get to see a little bit more into his mind, and we get to go into his house and see all the magical creatures that he has. And one of the things that I like more about this movie than the last one is that the Fantastic Beasts, all the magical creatures, they're not the driving force of the movie. They're just in the background, but they do have a purpose, and I like how they're used a lot more in this movie. There are no rhinos with the ball sack on their head. Unfortunately, the one thing I do dislike about the creatures is the CGI. I wish they would go a little bit more practical where Star Wars goes, because some of the creatures they're a little bit too fake looking. I think it's a step up from the previous film, but you'd think they'd be able to do a little bit better of a job. I mean, the creatures in Harry Potter, they looked real. Buckbeak, for example, was an animatronic figurine that the actors were actually able to interact with, and that's why he looked so real. These animals, not so much. Newt's friends eventually make a return into the movie as well, such as Tina, Queenie, and Jacob. I was wondering why the heck Jacob would be in this movie again, because his memory was wiped in the last one, but I'm actually happy that they brought him along, and it's a pretty good story point throughout this movie. The love story between him and Queenie continues on from the last movie, and I think it was explored a little bit too much in this film, that I would rather have seen more of the wizard duels and fights and other character development than their love story. Newt's brother is also in this movie, and he actually reminds me a little bit of Percy Weasley, and he's dating a character named Leta Lestrange, and she's one of my favorite new characters of this movie. Her character backstory is so interesting, and I really love all the backstories that we go into. We get to see about Newt's time at Hogwarts with Leta and the other characters, Dumbledore, and some other cameos that I won't give away. As a side note, the actor who played young Newt was exactly like him. Props to that guy. Now, I mentioned Dan Fogler's Jacob being back in this movie, and it's pretty cool because that's a nice added touch of humor. There is a lot less humor in this movie than the previous one, which I liked a lot more. The last movie just didn't seem like Harry Potter because it was too out there with the jokes and the creatures, but this movie, don't worry, we're right back in the Harry Potter world. And speaking of that, I was personally very scared about where they would take this movie with connecting it to Harry Potter. We saw Nagini in the trailer and Hogwarts, so was this just going to tie into Harry Potter's story? That's pretty much what all these movies and expanded editions that J.K. Rowling's been putting out have been, just to expand Harry Potter's story. I want to see a better extended universe on the Wizarding World. There's so much going on in the Wizarding universe besides just Harry Potter. We don't just need him. We see these great universes like Star Wars and Marvel that are able to tie into other spin-offs. And luckily, this movie, it didn't let me down. I was very happy with how J.K. Rowling and the team handled the cameos and the references. And I actually ended up liking Nagini, which honest to God, did not think I was going to like that character inclusion in this movie at all. Crimes of Grindelwald may be the best Wizarding World film we've ever had to date. And by that I mean we're able to explore all across the world these different wizarding entities. We see the Ministry of Magic in the United States, in the UK, and in France. We see things that were mentioned and said in the Harry Potter films that are able to richen the lore of this entire universe. The portkeys and unbreakable vows and charms and spells, they're all there without us having to tie directly to Harry Potter's story. And I like that a lot. If the Fantastic Beasts universe and J.K. Rowling carry on, this could be a big extended universe. Let's carry on and compete with Marvel and Star Wars. I'll be honest, it's a lot better than the DC universe and a lot of these other failed universes right now. Now here's the only downside of the movie. Towards the end, there's a little bit of explanation into what happened in the movie and how everything connects. And that got to be a little bit tedious and long and a little bit confusing. It will probably take a second watch for a lot of viewers to even understand. It took me a lot of diving into, and I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, and I understand everything that goes on in the universe. And maybe if you're not a Harry Potter fan, you may start to lean away from these movies, which that makes me a little bit nervous about the fan base. You have to really understand what's going on with Grindelwald and Dumbledore and Hogwarts and spells. There's one instance where a green spell is used when the door closes, and Harry Potter fans know that that's Avada Kedavra, that's the killing curse. But if you don't know what the heck that is, you can kind of infer it, but you may not be exactly sure what happened. And there's been a major push because this movie was released a couple weeks ago to keep the secret, keep quiet, don't tell anybody what happened. And there's a major twist in this movie, something big that happens towards the end, and I loved it. I really, really loved it and thought that it can add a lot to the future movies. And there are going to be 3 more. I mean, like I said, Dumbledore and Grindelwald don't fight until 1945. So what happens in those 18 years? We have a lot of story to tell. The last thing I'll say is J.K. Rowling really shouldn't be writing these screenplays. She's a great author. And what I wish would have happened is that she would have written 5 books that somebody could have made into movies, because obviously she's a great author, but that doesn't necessarily translate right over to writing a screenplay. It's a lot better than the dialogue and story of the first movie, but there's still a lot that she has to work on if she wants to be a great screenwriter. In the end though, The Crimes of Grindelwald was really a delight of a movie. I really enjoyed it as a Harry Potter fan. I have to give it all butter, no salt. There are a couple things I would have changed with the story and some of the characters, but overall, I really love this, and I can't wait to see what J.K. Rowling has in store for the rest of these movies. But I'm really curious to know what you guys thought. Did you think that this was the best Wizarding World film that we have, or are one of the Harry Potter films better than it? Let me know in the comments below. And make sure you subscribe so you get updated on the most recent movie reviews so that you can get to the theater and enjoy the movies just as I do. Thanks for watching.